Okay. Stephen, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. Steve Downs, are you on?
Yep, I'm here too.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to our CDBG commission meeting tonight. Ken and Joey and Stephen and I have already done this once this week. So, but our first presentation will be at 6:30. So I wanted to just go over some things with you. If we have time, I might go over some of the city presentations as well to keep us moving forward. But I'm going to try to share my screen again. And we can go from there. So welcome. Since we haven't been together for a very long time and we have a bunch of new people, why don't we have everyone to introduce themselves? We'll start, I'll just read your name, and if you want to introduce yourself, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and we can go from there. So I'll stop sharing for now. All right, we'll start with Stephen Downs.
Okay. Sorry, it's just a nice afternoon, so I'm going to go for a little walk during the first part of this. But Steve Downs, I've been with the city. I had 7 years. Last month is when I started with the city. I'm the deputy city manager, so I work with Kenna closely on kind of our neighborhood programs, specifically the community development block grant. And appreciate all your service, and honestly love the opportunity each year to hear these presentations and gain a greater appreciation for the good work that's done by many of these nonprofits to serve the more oftentimes vulnerable population that live among us and provide these services to keep them healthy and safe. So glad to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Eileen.
Hey, I have lived in Orem for 44 years in the same house. I actually live in one of the eligible neighborhoods, and I own rental property in my neighborhood too. I have wanted to serve my community, and the time is right for me now, and it never has been before. So I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you. Steve.
It says Sherry there, but I'm really Steve. I'm using my wife's computer. So anyway, Steve Heaps here. I'm a homegrown Orem boy. Been here my whole life, grew up down by the mall and currently living up in North Orem. And yeah, I just feel it's time to give back to the community and help it become better. That's just what I want to do.
Well, welcome. Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I've been here since I was 3 years old. I moved here from California, and overall I just like to serve, especially my community. So that's why I'm here.
Well, thank you, Ashley. Ken.
Hi, everyone. Ashley, you're looking a little tired in your picture there. So lying there on the floor. So
Just a little bit.
yeah. All right. Sorry for that. I'm Ken. I've been on the commission for a few years now. I was trying to figure out how many years, and I gave up. So it's been a couple. I work for the state of Utah Department of Human Services. I've lived in Orem a long time. I enjoy serving on this commission, and Stephen mentioned, and I agree, that it's amazing to hear these presentations and see what all these agencies do. And if they didn't fill the gap in some of these service needs, it'd be concerning what might happen. So I enjoy serving, and welcome to the new members, and look forward to serving with you.
Thanks, Ken. Ken serves as the chair of our committee. He also chaired the Joint Commission this year as well. So he's been chairing a lot of things. Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya, and we've lived in Orem for a little over 20 years now. I think 22 this May. And we love Orem. And I've been on the commission for, I think, like a year, maybe a little longer. I can't remember for sure. And I've also been on the beautification commission. And so it's just super fun to be involved with our city and try to make a bit of a difference, and kind of collectively our efforts seem to make a difference. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. And Joey.
Hi, I'm Joey Elisa. I actually know quite a few people on the commission. I was neighbors with Eileen. I bought a house in her neighborhood in 2006 and lived over there for about 10, I lived there for 11 years. And I know Tanya from when I was in grad school because she worked for my program. And I actually met Ashley when she was a high school student because I work in high schools. My job is to help kids get ready for college. And so, yeah, I know quite a few of you. And of course, I've known Ken for a few years now since I've been on the commission, and Steve and Kenna. But yeah, it's a fun commission.
Thank you, Joey. I think I got everyone. Is that right? Okay, well, thank you for joining us tonight. So we're going to try to make this as quick as possible, but we will just go over a couple of things before we start the presentations. I'm going to try to share my screen. The last time I did it didn't show the whole presentation, so let me try again. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay. All right.
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, so tonight we will be allocating the Orem only projects. So Ken and Joey and I and Stephen have been involved in the joint process the last several weeks. These are applications that we serve regionally. So these are people that would be served most likely by Orem, Provo, and Utah County. And we will be talking about those next week. We did the recommendations for those next on Monday night. And so we'll be bringing those to our commission next week for approval. But tonight we'll be doing the Orem only project. So we have two Orem only projects, that public service projects. One is a public service project, one is a capital project. And then we also have our City of Orem projects to present tonight as well. This is our funding breakdown. So we're getting about 25,000 less than we did last year. I was kind of sad about that. Provo got actually more money, and Utah County got more money as well. But our allocation was $674,806. We have some rollover CDBG funding of about 84,000. This is dollars that we have not spent for whatever reason, if it just hasn't been drawn on, or that kind of just some rollover money from previous years. So that total came to 6.9, and then from that amount of money, we take 10%, and that is given from our public service amount of 15%. So HUD allows us to take 15% of our allocation, not of the rollover funding as well, but just of our allocation to use towards public services in the community. Of that 15%, we give 10% to the joint process. So we subtracting out that 10% of $67,480. In the past, we have done joint capital projects with the other affiliates, or excuse me, with the other entitlements. This year, we did not have that many capital projects. Most of them pulled out. And the other one will probably become a CV project instead. And so because of that, we do not have to give any of our funding towards a joint capital project. So tonight we have $691,326 to allocate. Forgive me if my voice, I've been doing tours all day and all afternoon in the fitness center. I didn't think that through very well. So just excuse my voice if I can't think or I sound funny. One of the things is last year we did a consolidated plan process. So every 5 years, we have to do a consolidated plan where we look at plan priorities or priorities of the community of how they want these funding spent. So we did a consolidated plan process with the other entitlements in our county, so which is Utah County, Lehigh City, and Provo City. And these were the priorities that we came up with. Ken could probably tell these to you by heart now after all of the CV presentations we've been making. So we did a specific survey and we talked, so we did a survey and then we also went to all the different, we went to the different councils and then we also went to some service agencies, and these were the specific priorities of the councils and the service agencies and the citizen survey that we did. So you can look through those. Orem's main priorities was, council's main priority was homeowner assistance, public housing improvements, and economic development, infrastructure development. So from all of those, we came up with these priorities for this money. So overall, our #1 priority would be housing. That would be for affordability, affordable housing, accessible housing, housing assistance, or housing improvements. The second priority would be services to special needs populations, focusing on mental health and survivors of abuse. And the third would be public infrastructure. So it'd be streets, water, and sewer facilities and improvements. So those are the priorities in the consolidated plan. So we'd like you to think about those when we have projects coming to the commission for approval. So tonight what we will do is we'll hear presentations from, like I said, 2 of our public service organizations. One is PERC, and then they are a public service organization. PERC, we have asked PERC to only come to us about every other year and ask for a more significant amount of funding than they have in the past. They used to ask for $2,000 to $3,000, and we have asked that projects are not under 5,000. So they usually will ask for 2 years of money in a row in 1 year. The second one will be a capital project with Turn Community Services. They have some capital needs on 2 of their housing projects in Orem. So they will be making presentations. The presentations will be 20 minutes. And Ken can welcome them if he will, like he's done in the past, and give them their time frame. So that 20 minutes will include their presentation and any questions that you have. Following that, I will be presenting on all the Orem projects, so you'll have to listen to me a lot tonight, I'm sorry. And then we can have some discussion after that. Next week, we will be looking at recommendations and for both our Orem only and joint projects to go to the council. So does anyone have any questions right now on those things? Stephen, did I miss anything?
No, I think the only thing I'd add is on the overall priorities, the 3 public infrastructure, that has historically also been our parks, our neighborhood parks that are within CDBG eligible areas.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the commission? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just, since we have a little extra time before PERC comes, I'll present on a couple of the Orem city projects, or at least 1 or 2 of them. and then we can go from there. So we will start, we'll move down to our administration. So the HUD allows us to take 20% of our allocation and have it go towards administration. So this is administration to administer the program. This helps pay my salary, helps pay for the program itself, helps pay some of Stephen's salary to run the program. So this year, historically, we have not asked for the full 20%. But we are finding that we are needing that full 20% every year. And so this year we're actually asking for that full 20%. So this is one that we would ask that you approve because there's no other way to pay us if we don't approve this. And it's kind of a requirement of HUD that we have a CDBG program. So that's what that funding will go to. So it goes to salary benefits for me, some salary benefits for Stephen, and then for the program administration. So supplies, training, anything that we would need like that, commission expenses, all of our public noticing. So we have to public notice these meetings that we have with our council, our public hearings, anything like that. So does anyone have any questions on that one? Everyone good with that one? Okay. So see, these won't be that long, our city ones, unless you guys have questions. So the next one is back in 2005, some of you will know that we took out what we call a Section 108 loan. So HUD provides financing for economic development and actually for housing and some other things, where a city can actually get a loan at a fairly low interest rate and help with economic development or help with housing or help with several different things, several different options. So our city got a loan back in 2005 for car dealerships. So we were able to help expand car dealerships, Brent Brown, Mazda and Nissan. And so we committed back then that we would continue to pay, instead of having them pay this loan back, as long as they were making their sales tax numbers and they were making their employment numbers, then we as a city would continue to pay on this loan. So we have an obligation to pay this loan every year until it's paid off. In 2019, we were able to have a net savings of about $60,000 when we refinanced the loan. HUD gave us an opportunity to refinance the loan. So we do need to, this is the other thing that we need to approve. You can see that we're getting close to having it paid off. It should pay off in August of 2025. And then these funds will be available for other things in the community. Does anyone have questions on this Section 108 loan?
What would the dealerships hadn't met their obligations or their expectations? What would have happened then?
Then they would have had to make the payments on the loan. Mazda actually took out bankruptcy, and for some reason, the loan was not put in their bankruptcy for some reason. I don't know why. It was before me and Stephen had even come here. So we probably should have made them pay their portion of the loan back then, but for whatever reason, that did not happen. So, but they all of the dealerships continue to make their sales tax numbers and have made their employment numbers. So that's what would happen, Eileen. Any other questions? Okay, so those are two kind of that we really need to approve. Otherwise, we have to find other funding to pay for those two items. So admin and our Section 108 loan. The third one would be we help with code enforcement in the CDBG eligible neighborhoods in Orem. So currently we have 6 CDBG eligible neighborhoods, which are at this point Stonewood, Lake Ridge, Sharon Park, Geneva Heights, Hillcrest, and Suncrest. I say Sharon Park, yeah. And so we help pay for code enforcement in those neighborhoods. So technically we have 22 neighborhoods in our community, which we don't really say that we have 22 neighborhoods anymore, but of those, so those 6 neighborhoods take about 30% of our code enforcement dollars. So a good percentage of nuisance abatement, code enforcement are in those neighborhoods. And because of that, we are able to help fund the code enforcement team with these dollars. So we are seeking $125,000 to help pay for salary, benefits, and other direct costs for sworn and non-sworn officers that are part of the city's code enforcement team. Currently, code enforcement is in our police department, and it's called Neighborhood Preservation Unit. We have 3 officers and 1 non-sworn officer in the department. What we do is every quarter we look at certain calls that we have deemed as nuisance calls. And we look at the percentage of calls in the 6 neighborhoods, and we compare it to the calls with the rest of the city. And then we pay that percentage of their salaries, benefits, and other direct costs quarterly from this money to, and that, so it's directly paid towards their salaries, benefits, and other direct costs. We are looking at changing the way we do code enforcement in the future, but right now that's how code enforcement is done. Even if we change the way we do it, we will continue to help pay it for those eligible neighborhoods. So the funding also helps pay employee time and supplies for special and code enforcement activities. So every year, we didn't do it this year because of COVID, but every year HUD requires that counties do what they call a point in time count, where they go out and they count homeless for 3 nights. And so our police department for the last couple of years, it's been involved in that process. So we're able to pay for those special code enforcement activities. And then we also do a reading with police program in our 4 neighborhood schools, which will now be 3 neighborhood schools because Geneva Heights and Suncrest are now becoming 1 school. But we do reading with police where we read to 3rd graders for 20 minutes a week for a month in each of those schools. And we're able to help pay the officers' salaries for reading in those schools. So that's what these code enforcement dollars are used for. However, we're unable to what we call supplant. We're not able to supplant money. So what the HUD says is they don't want us just basically paying for code enforcement. They want what they call above and beyond activities in these neighborhoods. So they want to say that code enforcement are doing more in those neighborhoods than in other neighborhoods. So we do a lot of what we call above and beyond activities in those 6 neighborhoods. We do neighborhood leader meetings, police picnics. We work with the neighborhood schools. We do quite a bit of other things in those neighborhoods to help make them better neighborhoods. So that's kind of the request that we're seeking for code enforcement. Does anyone have any questions with that?
Go ahead.
I have one odd question. I noticed on this one bit of paperwork that the E1 where you had to break it down, that was all blank for this one. But I didn't understand why.
I'll have to look at that, but
Or you have to say how much percentage is for the different, and it was all blank.
Okay, I'll have to look at that in the application on that one, Eileen, and find out why that is. Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, historically, we used to budget 150, I think it was 155,000 for code enforcement. Kenna's done a good job of looking at the actuals and the numbers. And so our request is $30,000 less because we weren't able to draw down that full amount anyway. So this year, as opposed to other years, we have $30,000 more going towards other projects and code enforcement to better reflect our actual cost as it relates to these neighborhoods.
Thank you, Stephen. Eileen, I think I might have left that blank because I don't know the true number of the police department's budget for those salaries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's 6:28, so Perk should be joining us here shortly. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So if everyone wants just to take a couple minute break, then we can wait for Perk to come and we'll get started.
Hey, Ken, are you still there?
Uh-huh.
This is Ken. Who's going to keep time for those two presentations?
I'll keep time.
Okay. So I'll just tell them you'll let them know when they're getting short on time.
Yes.
I don't imagine Perk will go 20 minutes, but
I would not think so.
okay. All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you, Ken. Stephen, you might have to help us share their screen because they wanted me to make them a co-host so she could share her screen, but it wouldn't let me.
Yeah, happy to. I'll help make her a co-host.
Okay.
It turns the second one. Dave just came and left, but he's second, right?
Yeah, they're second. They gave me their presentation already.
Okay.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, how are you? I can't
Good, how
see
are
you. I hear you, but I don't see you.
So yeah, my camera's weird in my office. So,
Okay.
so we have Barbara Jones and Mary from Perk. Barbara used to be on our committee and now she's on the board for Perk. So it's good to have you join us, Barbara.
Well, I'm excited to be with you.
She's
Mary,
like a
I'm sorry.
lobbyist who leaves office and then goes to work for somebody.
Yeah.
Mary,
I wish
Barbara's
there was
a-
pay involved though, you
I
know?
know.
No.
A pure lobbyist with pure intent. Who's going to be sharing their screen, and I'll make them a co-host.
Mary first.
Oh.
Mary, is Heidi going to join?
No.
Okay.
Actually, Kenna, looks like you're the only one that can do it. Do you know how to go to participants?
Okay, so go to participants.
And then click on Mary's name.
Okay.
And then it should say make co-host.
I'm not seeing her name. Okay. So you can. Okay, there it is. Do I go under more?
Possibly.
I'll make co-host. Okay.
There you go. And then
Okay.
Barbara, are you going to share something too?
I will, yes.
So do that for Barbara as well.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have, we'll turn the time over to Ken.
All right. Mary and Barbara, thanks for joining us and presenting before our commission today. We look forward to your presentation. We want to let you know you have 20 minutes and that will include time for questions, and Kenna will be the timekeeper. So please begin when you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Great. We're going to start out with a video. It's just a short 3-minute video that we made quite a while back. It's just kind of shows you what our facility looks like for those of you who are new. And so you can see kind of what we do. And I will share my screen. Sorry about
Hey,
that.
well, welcome to PERC. Everything we have is to teach kids or the adults working with them. It's free. The only time you pay is if you lose something or break it, just like a library. So it's a lending library for these educational activities. Anyone is welcome to use it, no matter where they live, working with them. So everything's arranged by subjects. So we can just start with some parenting books, or the area that gets used the most is probably motor skills. Lots and lots of little kids learning how to use their fingers and do things. Sensory, shapes and colors. Lots of different ways to learn your shapes and colors. Oh, Spanish, we can't forget the Spanish. Videos, games, bingo, anything in Spanish. Then we get to the alphabet, learning our letters. Lots of different fun ways to do it. Reading, some beginning reading and more advanced reading, games, and anything that promotes language, reading, speaking. Down here is social studies. So, learning about people, what occupations they have by putting little 3-piece puzzles together. What a fun way to learn about occupations and people working. And then my favorite subject, thinking and reasoning. Just a range of games that help you to think logically or work things out. So they're not arranged by age. Things here would be start around 2 or 3-year-olds up to adults can play them, or teenagers can play them with the adults. It works great. Come on down to the math section. You can be very specific if you're learning about multiplication or just general math, using math principles, doing fun different types of games to reinforce some kind of math thinking. And we didn't even do all the categories. This just gives a little taste.
So what do you like about PERC, Kaylee?
We just love the variety it gives our home, and that we can learn. It's really good for her dexterity, so we're not turning on shows all the time. We can come here and switch out the toys so she doesn't get bored at home, and she gets to choose new toys, and she gets excited to come every week. She loves to come and choose either her favorites or new things. So that's why we like to come together. It's a fun thing to do together.
So what do you like about PERC?
I like that there's just so many options for kids all different ages. I do a little co-op preschool in my home, and so there's all sorts of fun things here that we use for teaching and just for playing, and lots of fun options. You want to get that one that has different animals and glows? Excited to take these home, Jane?
You know I take dirt monsters?
Hey, you ready? Say thank you. Say see you next week. Bye-bye.
Okay. So that is what we do. Of course, we didn't introduce ourselves at the very beginning here. Let me unshare my screen here. There we go. So I'm Mary Clift. I've worked with PERC, volunteered for 13 years. When my youngest son went to kindergarten, I said, I want to help. And we had gone as a family every week. We had come to PERC and we'd check stuff out every week. And so I'm a believer in what we do. And that's where I'm at. Of course, you guys, some of you know Barbara. You can go ahead and tell you a little bit about yourself, Barbara.
So my name is Barbara Jones, and I have been, volunteering for PERC for over a year now. And I just love this place. I wish that I had something like this when my youngest son was available, and my goodness, even for my older ones. But it is truly an amazing place. And whenever we get somebody new in, I just love taking them around and showing them all that we have that's there.
So go ahead, and Barbara, what would you talk about our volunteers?
Yeah. Let me tell you, it is all run by volunteers. Every shift that we are open is staffed by a volunteer. We have about 16 right now. I want to tell you about who we serve. So in 2018-19, we're on a fiscal year, we served 796 individual families. 71% of those were from Orem. of that 71%, 57% of them were low to moderate income families. In 2019, 2020, we served 628 individual families. Of that, 72%, that's quite an increase, of those were Orem residents. We know that, or hopefully you realize that, of course, our numbers were affected by COVID. Our hours were extremely limited by the number of hours that the library itself was open. And even now we are affected by the library's hours. We are hoping to get more volunteers so that we can open up a little bit more.
Just so you know, we're housed in the library. The library gives us our building, our electricity, our internet access, our telephones, but we have to come up with the rest of the money. So anyway, sorry, Barbara. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. No problem.
To clarify.
That's all right. I just wanted to mention that we have upgraded quite a bit since that video was taken, and our shelves are packed full. It's wonderful because the people are coming back, it seems like, in droves, and we are just like having to check in so much each day, and we're barely able to get it back onto the shelf before it's going back out again. It's exciting to see so many more people coming in, so many more patrons coming in, and new ones at that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yep. Perfect. All right. So we have asked you for $6,000. This is a little bit more than we asked for last year because, first, it's a small amount comparatively speaking, but it's a large amount for us. It's going to be an 18-month grant that will last us for 2 years. And we will then again reapply in 2 years for the grants. We hope to do with the funds that you give us. We hope to continue to provide the high level of service that we have right now. We also, you guys were able to read through our application, so you know kind of the stuff that we are looking for to use the money for. We want to create a STEM section, and this, we've actually got the room for it now. We've moved everything around to be able to have a row of shelving that we want to put in a new STEM section that's going to be right next to math, right next to science. That's going to have items categorized by age. So we'll have kind of low stuff for smaller kids, and then higher up for middle-aged kids, and then even into teenage kids. And these are like a little bit more expensive items that kids that are in low to moderate income families can't afford to buy to explore the STEM, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, to explore some of those areas. We also, as of last year, our subscription, our library software, they have discontinued service for us. They will no longer support our software. So we are this year going to have to, within the next year or two, change our software out, get a new system, because the new software that that this company that we've been have for years, we've been using for years, they are going to charge us $1,200 a year, and we just can't afford that instead of the $250 a year. So we have a tech volunteer that has taken that on. He's going to come up with some other kind of program and get that changed all over, but it's going to cost. And then in lieu of that, we're going to need some new software or hardware to go with it. We had a meeting with Kenna, me and Heidi, our director, which she couldn't be here tonight. So sorry about that. She apologizes. We had a meeting with Kenna, and we realized that none of our computers have cameras, and that we have no way. And in this day and age, we all need cameras. So our office really needs some cameras.
So we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Okay. We'll be good.
Okay, so in fact, that's good to go. You guys can read and you can look through, where our income's coming from, where we're gonna augment the things that we have. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Barbara.
Well, I think
Could I
that's.
ask, could I ask, just
Yes,
a quick question. This is
Go
Stephen.
ahead.
What other, I mean, COVID obviously has done a number on many nonprofits. Have there been some other expenses that you guys have had to bear that were unexpected due to COVID, or things that you still need to do to address kind of this new world we're living in?
Mostly it's technology. That's number one. The library was really considerate. They brought us a shield down so we could have that. We actually had to purchase last year. We had to purchase some big tubs because we hold our products. The library does it for 1 week or 1 day. They hold all their books for 1 day, but since ours are so much more touched by people, we hold ours for 2 days. And make sure that they're in the back room for 2 days. And so we have like piles of stuff. So we've got tubs that we purchased for that. Other than that, we have not had as many expenses as I would expect, as you'd think. So we're doing pretty good with COVID.
Okay, glad to hear that.
Other questions?
I have a question. So I saw that you guys had a Spanish speaking section. Are you planning on expanding that, especially with STEM, adding more books or like other languages too, like Chinese, Arabic, all that good stuff?
We now have Chinese and French, and we have Spanish and Portuguese.
The last grant that we got from you guys, that was one of the major things that we spent money on, is revamping our Spanish, but adding, Chinese and French and Portuguese. So we actually have, pretty good, at least several rows of each of those languages of different things for that area. So thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we thank you for your time and your consideration for PERC. We love what we do, and we hope that you'll appreciate it too. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
Thanks, Mary and Barbara. Appreciate
All right,
you.
bye-bye.
Okay, any questions about PERC right now? Okay, so we have 10 minutes until we meet with Turn. Does anyone have any questions about code enforcement or how we use the code enforcement money?
I have one question, and maybe you were going to address it, but it's with that and neighborhood preservation, that some of the same wording and the same programs were in both of them.
Right, so with neighborhood preservation, so some of the above and beyond activities that we do, we use some neighborhood preservation money for. So and so because above and beyond activities are beyond what code enforcement is doing, we do some activities using neighborhood preservation money, so that will look similar, but it's different because code enforcement money is only used for salary, benefits, and direct costs, such
Okay.
as.
Okay, and I did have a question for Steve Downs, because I actually talked to him last year when the landlord program was being put in place. Is that making a difference yet, the landlord
Yeah.
program?
For sure. So there's kind of two requirements, right? One was that the utilities all go in the name of the owner of the property.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that had duplexes or fourplexes, that was already a requirement. So they had already done that. And about 25% of Orem's rentals were single family homes. And that's what we were trying to address. Of the 4,500 rental properties, we now have 4,000 of them in the name of the owners. We're still working on obviously a few, but that's made a big difference. And if you chatted with our code enforcement officers, they've shared multiple stories now of issues they've been trying to resolve, and now they have phone numbers and email addresses for owners that they never had access to prior. And so that part of it has been very helpful for them. We're still working on some of the kind of the software improvements and automation that we hope to do with working with those owners, but we feel good about the progress we've made in the first 6 months of it, or 7 months. And so if you ask our code enforcement team, they feel like it's made a big difference in getting a hold of those that can help fix the problem at hand.
Maybe we can cut down the number of slumlords we have in Orem.
I mean, that really is the hope, is that these issues become not just the tenant's responsibility, but the owner's responsibility. And ultimately, for many landlords, during this process, not very few of them were happy with the fee, understandably so. The majority of the good ones said, our biggest concern is bad landlords making good landlords look bad, and getting grouped into the same big pot of rental property and landlord discussion, when there clearly are multiple types of landlords. Those that have, invested in more than the property, they've invested in the neighborhood, they've invested in the community. There's those types, and then there's others that, see this as just purely an investment opportunity. That's what we want to shape. We've had multiple say that if we're gonna be responsible to that level, we're not going to continue to be landlords in the city of Orem, and that we've said that's it's your words, not mine, but we're not going to fight you on that either. So you're welcome to put it up for sale. There's plenty of families trying to buy homes, and anyways, but again, it's 7 months in. We know it's going to take years before we have it kind of serving its full purpose, but we're happy with where we're at.
Thank you.
Any other questions about code enforcement? Okay, well, their director is here, but I know there's one other person coming, so we can just wait a few more minutes and then let them in once Cindy comes. So,
Kenna, without the application right in front of me, can you remind me with PERC that their $6,000 request, what amount of that was for technology improvements that they needed? And the reason I ask is, well, you probably know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
I just wonder with the coronavirus money we have specifically for these, if there's more we can do to help.
Right. When I did my monitoring visit with them, we went through all of that. So it didn't sound like they were needing it. But
Okay, perfect.
But I'll look again. We can look again. I don't have the application in front of me either.
Okay.
Look again, definitely.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Steven's trying to spend our CV money, which is good because we need to. So, so we'll just wait a few more minutes. Did everyone order their DoorDash tonight?
I got home too late, but thank you so much for that. That was so fun.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to be able to use it.
Yes, thank you very much. We'll have to spend that at Applebee's or something like that.
Yes, yeah. You're welcome. But we just feel bad that we can't be together. Hopefully we'll be together for our next season. So,
Kenna, do you want to just maybe go do the critical home repairs application? I think 7 o'clock's the next one.
6:55.
Oh, never mind then. That'd be rushed.
I'm gonna admit.
Okay.
Well, I'll admit them and see if we're waiting for anyone else. Just 1 second. Hi, Dave.
Hi there.
We're running a little bit ahead. Is Cindy gonna get on as well?
I think so. I just got off the phone with her. I told her that I was going on.
Okay.
Do you have Mike's with us now, right?
Hi, Mike.
Hello,
Yes.
how are you?
Okay, well, we'll wait, I'll pull up your presentation and we'll wait until Cindy gets on.
Okay.
And so we'll introduce you in just a minute.
Okay. I will let her know.
Ken, I was going to mention, I know you mentioned being together again next year, but I think my wife's enjoying my ability to do the dishes in between presentations. So I don't know if she's as interested in me being at the office in the evening next year. So
Stephen, by then you need to have trained Jameson to take your place.
I will, that will be a solid 11 months of training. So I'll get to work.
So Mike or Dave, are you giving the presentation or was Cindy going to?
Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy's going to give most of it. I'm just going to give a quick sort of introduction and
Okay.
Move right through it. She says she's in the waiting room.
Okay. So we'd like to welcome Turn Community Services. We have Dave, Mike, and Cindy with us, and we'll turn the time over to Ken to welcome you.
Hi, Kenneth.
Hi, this is Ken with our commission. Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. Took a second. Welcome
Hey,
to our
Ken.
commission. Welcome to our commission meeting this evening. We're looking forward to your presentation. We thank you for taking the time to present and prepare the materials you needed for this. And you'll have 20 minutes for your presentation, and that will include questions. And Kenna will let you know as your time progresses how much time you have left. So thank you again, and please begin when you're ready.
Wonderful. I'm sorry, I'm trying to, oh, there we go. It's not letting me show myself for some reason. Weird. I'll keep playing with that. So yes, thank you so much for having us today. With us today in our little group is our CEO / executive director, me, which is Cindy Quintana. I am the public relations and development director for Turn. And then we have Mike Sau. He is our director of facilities management. And the three of us will each take a couple minutes and go over the needed information for today's presentation. But let's see. Kenna, is that you that has control over the presentation?
Yeah, so just tell me when to move to which. Do you want to go to the About Us then?
Okay, yes, please.
Yeah, go, Kenna, yeah, move down to that slide. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of the agency that we're a 48-year-old nonprofit in the state of Utah, providing services for people with disabilities, founded by parents back in '73, mostly up in the Salt Lake area and north. And in that time, we've grown to serve over 800 people throughout the state. What I wanted to let you know is sort of our history in Orem, that when I started providing services as an agency in 1986, we all of our services were in Provo and Orem, and Turn at that time was Project Turn, and they had apartment programs in Orem, and since then we've been able to buy some properties. So the group home in Orem is a property that we own, and the day center on Center Street in Orem that we're asking you to consider for the siding project is a property that we own. So we're throughout the state, but we have a real presence in Orem with our day centers, 3 day centers, and a lot of residential services that we provide for people. And Cindy, I think that's what I was going to do. If you had, Kenna, if you want to go one more slide. So yeah, you can see that in Utah County there on the left, the demographics, we serve over 200 people. We've got about 80 employees out of our Provo office that serve people in mostly the Provo and Orem area. So a lot of involvement in Orem, and really it's been a great city for Turn and for the people that we serve. We've always been just so welcome. Cindy, that's all I have.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dave. And Kenna, can you go one more slide, please? Thank you. And so we're calling this the Turn Housing a Day program restoration. In the application, it lists the projects that we were hoping to get funded. And you had asked us to list in order of priority. And our focus was on siding replacement for a day program. And so I will quickly go over those. Siding replacement, estimated cost to complete that project would be $20,000. And then we had also listed roof replacement, which we estimated to be about $13,000. Collectively, those totals would be $33,000. And I understand, Kenna, that you have had the opportunity to visit both centers, the day program and the group home in the past.
I've only been to the home. I haven't been to the day center.
I see. No worries. My mistake. But I just wanted to briefly go over that. And this is outlined in the application as well and the pre-app. And basically that's what I have in a nutshell. And I will turn the time over to Mike. If you could go forward one slide, Kenna, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Mike, you're up.
Hello, thanks for having us this evening. So this building was built in 1990. Turn purchased it in 2010. That is the original siding. So with an average lifespan anywhere between 20 and 35 years, I think it's done pretty good, but it's showing its age. It's oxidizing a lot, which happens when the UV protection starts to break down. It gets really chalky, causes the color to be really blotchy. Also, there's some physical damage. It looks like in the past there's been a patch on the east side of the building that's pretty unsightly. We actually have a piece of the siding right over our entry, although it's hard to see in that picture. And the upper right hand above that doorway, there is a piece of the siding actually missing, including a couple holes, some other damage to some of the other pieces of siding on the west side of the building, some framework and stuff. So trim pieces and whatnot have a little bit of visible damage, but it's mainly the age. Like I said, once that siding starts to get chalky, it just really is really blotchy and unsightly. And to skip over towards the roof, I know that was the secondary item that we were hoping to get funded. That home was built in 94, Turn purchased it in 2009. That is also an original roof. We've been really lucky, knock on wood, we haven't had any leaks in the interior, but it is showing a lot of visible signs of its age. It's curling a lot. It's showing a lot of the fiberglass construction from underneath the grid of the asphalt shingles. So those are two things we're hoping to get done, mainly because of age, but also, like I said, the siding does have some visible damage. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Dave, Cindy, if you have anything else to add.
Yes, I was just going to add and let the group know that I can forward some photos of the roof, just so you have those for reference, and send some details as well. And I was focusing on list of order priority, so that's why I had the siding, but happy to send over information for the roof as well. And we'll take any questions if you have them.
Forgive me if I missed this earlier. What percentage of your daytime patients are Orem residents?
That's 100%. We base those numbers off of the information we received from our director. 19 people are involved in the day program and in the group home.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is Eileen.
Hi, Eileen.
I live in the neighborhood where the group home is, and I appreciate that you want to keep it well maintained and help the neighborhood out. And I've been by, I've seen it. Yes, the roof is looking its age. But one of the things that you put in your paperwork was that you were hoping that was going to help with utility costs. And I don't see that happening with the new roof, because that's all has to do with insulation in the attic. And I'd almost rather see you ask for a little more to put the insulation in, because the roof isn't good.
Uh-oh. There you are. Okay. Mike, can you answer that question? How is our insulation in the roof over there?
As far as I'm aware, our insulation is in pretty good order. We had actually had the siding redone about 1.5 years ago, and part of that through that process, part of the soffit was removed, and once everything was pretty well visible, there was at least 1.5 foot of insulation blown in that attic space. As far as the roof is involved, you know, like I said, knock on wood, we haven't had any leaks, but if we were to spring some here in the near future, that would definitely play a role in deteriorating and mildewing that insulation out there as well. So it's not specifically tied hand in hand, but one small area damage can cause a domino effect. So I think that was kind of the angle we were leaning.
And Eileen, the reason I had stated that it may help with utility costs is historically, if you put a new roof on a building, it does save some money on utility costs. We on our own home, mine and my husband's, you know, we needed a roof desperately a few years back, and we put a roof on our home with 50-year shingles, and it did shave off some utility costs, and it was able to, you know, help insulate the property and bring some of the costs down, because a lot of heat was escaping through the roof as well. So that's why I
Have
referenced
about
that.
9 minutes, excuse me, 9 minutes.
Oh, okay. Any additional questions?
Are you eligible for help, even though if they still do it, the county weatherization program?
That's a good suggestion. You know, that's something we should look into. I would hope that we would be. Good suggestion.
I know that we have got help in the past with weatherization in Cedar City and possibly even St. George, but I'm not sure how that works here in Utah County.
It probably depend on if you've had it before, if it's, you know, there's a certain period of time, if you've used the program here on that particular property, you may not be able to for a period of time. It just depends, but it might be something you want to look into.
Yeah, we will. We'll most definitely do that. Great suggestion.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Cindy, Mike, and Dave for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, Kenna.
Bye.
See ya.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Okay, any questions on about Turn right now? Okay, so everyone's still good to keep going? Okay. So Ashley had to go to work, so she had to leave us. She said she'd try to get back in just a minute, but we'll see if she joins us back. So our next city project is for our critical home repair and home rehabilitation program. We're asking for $110,000 for this program. This program, for you that are new, is the city offers loans and or grants up to $15,000 to low-income homeowners living throughout the city of Orem. These grants and loans can be used for critical home repair. We do a lot of roofs, some ramps for accessibility. We've done sewer lines, water lines, just some critical things for a home. We can also do some other things in a home to make the home more livable, like help with bathrooms, things like that. But this program is super popular. We have a large list of people that have applied that we haven't gotten to yet this year. But this has been a really good program for low-income homeowners, especially when you have a leaking roof and you have no way else to pay for it. This is a good program to do it. Grants are based on your income and the value of your property. So if you make less than 25% of the area median income, you can get up to a $7,500 grant. If you make between 25 and 50% of the area median income, you can get a $5,000 grant. And if you make between 50 and 80% of the area median income, you can get not a grant, but you can get a loan. And we do sometimes do grants and loans together up to $15,000. Those are 0% interest, either with a 10-year term or they can be deferred. So deferred basically means is you don't make any payments until the house changes ownership or it's refinanced. So that gives, especially seniors, this is a good program for seniors. We work a lot with seniors in this program to help keep them in their homes. So any questions on that?
Do we actually put a lien on the
if it's a grant only project, we don't. If they're only getting grant funds, if there's a loan involved, we do lien the property. So we usually take first or second position, depending on what's on the property.
And what kind of a history do we have on being able to collect on the ones that are loans?
We usually, most of our loans have been deferred loans. And so we are fairly successful because if they refinance, then we know because of the position that we're in. If I do check the county records once a year to see if any of the homes have changed hands, just to make sure of that. But most of the time we get our money back. And we haven't had right now we only have 2 loans that are being paid on. And those we haven't had any problems with those 2 loans. I don't know, I've only been doing the program for a little over we've only actually been doing the program again for about a year and a half. Habitat for Humanity took the program and did it for a couple of years for us, and then we took it back. So I don't know what the history of the loans are before. Maybe Stephen knows more of the history.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. We get, you know, a couple times a year, so we'll get a check in the mail because somebody's refinanced or sold their home. I don't know of any that have gone uncollected, but there's some that'll sit out there for 20, 25 years.
Hey, Kenna, do you have slides on this to share with us?
I just have I didn't do pictures and all that. So if you want me to do that for me.
No, I just wonder if you had a screen to share with us, but in case you had forgotten, so.
Yeah, you just have had your slideshow with the ask on it.
Oh
that
yeah.
You shared.
Can you see that now? Okay, I thought you could. So thanks for letting me know that, Ken. Let me share it again. Can you see it now? Okay, sorry about that. Our next ask is for neighborhood revitalization activities in the city's CDBG eligible neighborhoods. It's a $5,043 ask. Activities would include police picnics. So police picnics we do these once a year in each of the neighborhoods, or we combine some of the neighborhoods together in our eligible neighborhoods. We have them in a local park. We provide a meal. Wiener Schnitzel helps us provide a meal. And we have our police officers come out, our neighborhood preservation officers. Oftentimes the mayor and our city council will come out. We invite the neighbors from the neighborhood to come over to the park, bring their kids, have a meal. We have activities for the kids. Intermountain Healthcare has donated some games and things for the kids. Miss Orem comes and plays with the kids while the parents have an opportunity to meet with the community leaders, can meet with our police officers, get to know them better, share complaints, also get to meet each other. Oftentimes, especially if you're not of the prominent faith here in Utah County, sometimes you don't know your neighbors. And this is a good opportunity to learn who your neighbors are. So we've been doing those police picnics. Last year we weren't able, the past summer we were unable to because of COVID, but we're hoping to do them this year. And we're looking to do what we call a Rock the Block event. This is an event where we would come out, we'd pick a block and just hit it hard in a neighborhood, help bring out volunteers, help clean up the block for one day, and then have a party at the end for all the volunteers that helped on that block. Community events and cleanups. We're looking at maybe doing some planting and painting events, safety campaigns. We also have to print brochures, our resource brochures that we share with neighborhoods. So this is just funding to help with those ideas. Any questions? Sorry, the timer's going off for the last one.
Kind of maybe just speak to why the specific amount, kind of the odd number.
Because that's what was left over. So that was when we first were doing, when we were first looking at money, that was why.
Great, thanks.
Okay. All right, any questions on that? Okay, and our last request, it's going to look a little bit different than in the application. Originally, we had asked for $109,000 to replace the playground in Sharon Park. However, because we did not have to give money for our joint capital project, it allowed us to have more funding for this project. So we have now upped the ask to $186,323 to replace the aging playground at Sharon Park with a new modern playground. And the property of park is located in a CDBG eligible neighborhood. So this particular park, the Sharon area is one of the lowest income areas in our community and one of the highest minority areas. And this park actually is located right behind the Sharon Park Elementary School, which is a Title I school. 3 years, 4 years now, Stephen? We use CDBG money to do some upgrades in the park.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. How many pickleball courts are there now?
6.
Yeah, so we installed 6 pickleball courts, did some other upgrades at the park, and we have seen a tremendous change in this park. This park was not extremely well used by good people, maybe used by criminals and teens being mischievous. We had a lot of issues at the park. The neighbors complained a lot about the park. Since we've made up those upgrades to the park, things have totally changed. The park is busy with activity now. People are waiting to play pickleball. There's lights at the park. And it's really changed the trajectory of the park in the neighborhood. And so the one last thing that did not get done is to replace the aging playground at the park. And so we're asking for this money to replace the playground at the park. Any questions on that?
Is that playground, is it like adjacent to the pickleball courts, or is there like a road or anything in between, or is it, because I don't remember the park.
Yeah, the park's behind the school.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not right adjacent to the pickleball courts.
Okay.
It's just due north. There's just a field between the playground and the pickleball courts.
That's kind of what I was remembering. Thanks.
Yeah. In fact,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The status that it's at right now is we actually have boarded up at least one of the slides is boarded up because the slide fell apart and we can't get replacement parts anymore. It's that type of product specifically that would fit that is no longer made. So it's to the point where we can't replace parts even.
Wow.
That was kind of my question, was could we reuse that one someplace else in the city? We drove by there one evening and I couldn't believe how busy it was. I mean, it was busy. But anyway, I was just wondering if the playground could be used, but if it's old, it can't get parts, and that answers that question.
Yeah, what we do with those though is, because we still have other playgrounds and other parks that we haven't got to replace yet. If there's any parts that would fit another playground in the city, we essentially kind of turns into a, what do they call them? Like a pick.
You cannibalize.
You cannibalize them, like the junkyards where you go and you just pick out the parts from old cars that you need. We essentially keep some of those if they're usable. But the city council, this has really been an emphasis probably the last 5 years, that investing in our parks has become a huge focus. We use CDBG money where we can, and we use general fund money other places. And we've replaced a lot of playgrounds recently, and it's frankly what we found to be if you take like cost per citizen impacted, it's probably been the lowest cost per citizen impacted. Because like Steve mentioned, when these parks start getting invested in, people come out in droves to use them. And so the council really, really wants to keep that up. And this is an opportunity here. We're also redoing Hillcrest Park with other money. And we've been adding shade structures and toddler playgrounds in other parks. So we will just try to keep the momentum going there.
Well, that's
Hey,
fantastic.
Steve, I heard earlier, I think it was like the last time we met, that the parks actually reduce like crime risks and stuff like that. Can you go more into that?
Yeah, when we added the pickleball courts, our police chief reported the next year, and I have to get an updated number, but they reported a 60% drop in police calls to the park. And it's just the idea, and it's like that whether it's a park or other places, that when people aren't out and about, that's when mischievous things happen. And so for Sharon Park, it's just been that people are always there. We've lit the park with the pickleball courts as well. So those types of investments pay off in those other ways as well. And when families and people feel safe going to their park, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when they're there, those things don't happen. When they don't feel safe, they don't go, and then those things get worse.
Any other questions? Okay, so that rounds out our request. Ashley, you might not have heard this. We, on the application, we asked for 109,000. But because we did not have to give money towards a joint capital project, we had additional funding. And so we added this to the playground.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just so you're aware too, the city's looking at other money to redo the bathroom facility there too. And perhaps we kind of change the layout of it as well. It's just kind of placed in a spot and it's facing away from the park. So we're looking to invest in that as well. And we recently redid the Geneva playground and added futsal courts, and the city's looking to use other money to also rebuild those restrooms as well. So looking to do more at this park than just a playground, but this money would be used specifically for the playground.
All right, so those are our requests.
Kenna?
Yes.
When I got onto my portal, I had another one, and I don't know if it was supposed to be the Homeless Services Fund, it sounded just like the one we'd already been asked about.
Yeah, that one was, that one should, I will check on that. Should have been removed. Maybe when you first looked at it, it wasn't there. We removed that because we decided to use CD funding instead of regular CDBG funding on that. So
Okay.
that was one that you'd already looked at.
Okay.
Sorry, we're still learning Neighborly. I will see what's going on there. So thank you, Eileen. So any other questions so those are our 8 requests. We have the 6 from the city, and then the 2 from the public services. So our next step would be, would anyone want, one of the things that we have an opportunity to do, because we're being recorded, and this will go on our YouTube channel, we feel like if there's any concerns about an organization due to health and competence, we would want to go into closed session and stop recording and talk about that, and then come back into regular session. Does anyone have any concerns about the health or competency of any of these organizations? Everyone okay with all of that?
I feel like they're all pretty good, so.
I agree.
Okay, so we'll just forego that. So just a couple of more things. We're going to get out of here a lot earlier than we thought tonight. So our next steps will be, I need you to go in and review and score the applications in the Orem and Mountain Land neighborly portals. Tanya, I'm still trying to, yours was right. So I'm going to delete it and start over and see if that will work for you. And you'll need to give them a score. I sent this to you guys today, but the needs, priority, and readiness. So this will just give you an idea of where you might want to score them based on what you heard tonight. And if you guys could do that by Wednesday, before our next meeting, that would be really helpful. And then I can put it into the score sheet that we can work off for recommendations next week. Any questions on that?
Can you kind of explain where we go? I can't remember if is there like a place that said that you can.
Yes, you'll go into score it. You basically, because you guys are just reviewers in Neighborly, it should just pull up the application, and under scoring, it says scoring, and it just has you say what the score should be.
Okay, I just didn't look at that, I guess.
Yeah. And so you'll just score those, then we'll take those scores and we'll add them to my score. So the staff does a scoring. The staff does a scoring based on the application, and then we'll combine those and average those scores, and we'll use that to help make our recommendations next Thursday. Any other questions?
And I have a question. Is there anywhere that shows the total amount of requests in comparison to the total amount of funds we have to allocate?
Right, it actually equals right now. That makes sense.
Well, that's really handy that
Yes.
it turned out that way.
But, you know, we can say, well, we don't want that to go here, we want that to go here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
So right now we have enough money to fund everything. But maybe you'll want to put more, you'll want to not, you know, fund neighborhood revitalization and you'll want to put it onto the playground or something like that.
Thank you for that information.
You're welcome. So the next steps, so we will be back here next week on Zoom. And at 6 p.m. and we'll be working on recommendations and funding allocations. Once we make those recommendations, then we will have 2 public hearings with the council, and I will give you those dates next week in case you want to be involved with those. There was one other item that has come that we need to consider that I wanted to bring up tonight when we were together, and then we can adjourn. So as you know, we have money. We received close to 700,000 in CDBG money for coronavirus issues. We have spent over 400,000 of that, and then you guys just approved some more that Ken and I will be presenting. Well, Ken will not be. I will be presenting to council on Tuesday because Ken will be out of town. But we'll be presenting those. But we do have a couple of other things that we wanted to discuss. House of Hope is in need of some central air conditioning systems for 3 of their residential units. So House of Hope is an addiction facility for women and women with children. They have cottages on site where these women live. Some are single, some are with children. And they are in need of central air conditioning systems for these 3 residential units. Stephen found out that this is definitely because of COVID, because of ventilation. Swamp coolers are not great. We could use CV money on that. So we have decided as entitlements, each of the entitlements, Utah County, Provo, and Orem, to split those costs at about $15,000. So that is one that we would need to approve tonight. Also, we kind of wanted to get an idea of how you guys felt about this. We have about 194,000 left in CV funding that we need to spend. And so we were, Stephen had the idea, which I thought was great, is some of these local care facilities, senior care facilities, may be in need of HVAC or ventilation system upgrades. And so we were going to see if you guys thought that that was a good idea, that maybe we reach out to some of these senior care facilities and see if this is something that they might want to use some of this money for. So we just kind of wanted to get a feel for what you guys thought of that. So if you're okay with the House of Hope, pushing that forward, we won't be able to consider that until the next council meeting or further out. But if there was a motion to do that, that would be great. Or if there's any questions on that.
This is Steve Heaps, and I motion that that's a good option to use the money for.
Okay, for House of Hope for right now?
For the House of Hope.
Okay.
I do have a question. How is our senior citizen building? How's that facility?
We've already checked with them. They already received a CDBG CV grant for some CV for coronavirus upgrades that they've been using as well.
Okay, thank you.
Their ventilation system was upgraded recently. So, but thank you for asking that. So we have a, yes, Tanya?
I'll second Steve's motion to fund the House of Hope.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And what do you guys feel about us reaching out to some senior care facilities? Do you guys like that idea?
Are we talking about residential, like assisted living and things?
Assisted living or, rest home type facilities?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I used to work as a CNA and I can tell you this, those, their ventilation systems suck. So I think it's a great idea, especially
Okay.
I think it's a great way to protect our elderly. So, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the issues that we're really running into with this money is because we can't duplicate services, and there is so much money coming into our county right now through different sources. So our city just received several $1 million for CV related items through this last stimulus. And there's just tons of rental assistance money and other things coming in. So we're not able to help with some of those things because it would be duplication of benefit is what it's called. So we're trying to find some unique things that maybe there isn't money for out there. And I think this is a good thing that Stephen found. So we will pursue that if that's okay with the commission.
And Ashley, it sounds like maybe you could tell us which care facilities to go start talking to.
I would be happy to help.
Thanks, Ashley. Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
Is that we be selective about not offering to help out high-end care facilities. And there are some out there. My husband is actually in a care facility, and his is priced reasonably, but there are some that are very expensive, and I would have a hard time helping them out, I'm afraid.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We talked about that. I think the ones we'll try to reach out to first are the ones that are probably kind of your Medicaid funded ones that are generally for the lower income, who probably don't have access to healthcare maybe the same way. And yeah, so point well taken. I think that helps us kind of make sure that others aren't being reached out to that have significant resources and are maybe just choosing not to upgrade.
Is there any way that we can go throughout the city or somebody go throughout the city? Because I'm sure that there's residential homes with elderly like that need something. I'm definitely in favor of helping them, but just like it was said, there's some of these that are in business and making very good money. I don't know that they need help, but there's got to be people out there.
Yes, definitely, Steve. We try to market our critical home repair program as well to seniors. So we may put that back in the senior newsletter again and some other things as well. That's a good idea. Okay, well, any other questions or concerns for the evening? All right, well, I appreciate you all spending time with us tonight, and we will see everyone back next Thursday. I'll try to make those changes in Neighborly for you, Tanya, and see what else is going on with Neighborly. But if you guys have any concerns or problems, please reach out to me and we'll see what we can do. So thank you very much for your time and service tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken and Stephen and everyone.
All right, have a good night. Thank you.